I don't know how Cakes feels. He's usually pretty overly confident.
I'll tell you how I feel. I feel a little bit disrespected that the Hurricanes are the favorites, not only in Game 1, but in the entire series. I feel like that's disrespect to the 1 seed. And I know playoff hockey can go sideways. Just look at last night's Winnipeg Jets, St. Louis Blues game. But I'm feeling disrespect heading into this series. I don't know about you, Barry.
Barry, I told him that Vegas has the Hurricanes as minus 150 to win the series. That's a pretty significant number.
That seems high.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it feels like a go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, obviously, Vegas just sets a number and they want to get bets on both sides, but they clearly feel like the Hurricanes are the best team. They didn't make the Caps minus 150. So the Hurricanes scare me. They just do. And I don't know a ton about hockey. I mean, I know a little bit, but the Hurricanes as a team, they just scare me. They're well coached. They're sound. I think that they're not great on the power play offensively, but they're great on the kill. So this might be a shootout series, but man, Hurricanes scare me.
I think it's like even money, toss a coin, and I
might be right. Yeah,
I get what Cakes is saying, like, and I feel like that fits the kind of overarching theme of the Caps season. Like they underwent a major roster overhaul last summer, a summer after they had to win a tight game in the 82nd game of the season just to get into the playoffs and be swept by the Rangers. And I felt like going into the season, everybody was like, oh, it's that same Caps team that struggled to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. And they didn't give Brian McClellan and Chris Patrick credit for not only changing the roster, but changing it in an extremely well thought out, planned way in which they checked every box that was on their board. And I think, Cakes, what's happened is it felt like everybody else, the hockey cognoscenti in Toronto and Canada has kind of looked at this whole Cap season as kind of fluky, which after 82 regular season games in which they were the best team in the Eastern Conference and Ovechkin passed Gretzky to be the all-time goal scorer, and 5 tight but successful games for them in the playoffs, it seems, I don't want to be homerish, and I'm not saying they're going to win the series, but it does feel like they're not getting the respect for who they are and how they've played. They are a very, very solid team. I mean, Jason, you're right. Like, is Carolina solid? Yes, but I think in Raleigh, they're probably waking up and being like, well, this Caps team can roll 4 lines at you, and they still have Ovechkin on the power play, and Pierre-Luc Dubois is a really good two-way center, and their defensive pairings it really makes sense, even though, they've got a major injury there.
And we got one of the best goalies in the league.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way. Spencer Carberry said the other day at practice, like, when 2 teams know each other this well and they're this evenly matched, the 3 things that will decide it are goaltending, and Logan Thompson's playing great, special teams, so what you mentioned about, how do the Caps break through against a very good penalty kill, and how does their own kill do against the Canes power play? And then secondary scoring, which is, not the Ovechkin, Wilson, the top lines with Strome and those guys, but down the lineup, do you get Duhaime goals like you did in the Montreal series? Like, do those third and fourth lines produce some unexpected offense? Like, you're playing in the margins here, and I think it would be surprising if this, it was really good for them to get rid of the Canadians in 5 games. I'd be shocked if this series didn't go 6 or 7.
Hey, Barry, you mentioned the front office and the job that they've done to put this team around Ovi. It wasn't just celebrate Ovi as he chases Gretzky. This is a team that was the top team in the East. The moves that they've made, they've just been hitting home run after home run, going back to signing Strome off the street a few years ago, trading for Chychrun, Bavillier at the trade deadline. And you touched on a name that the Capitals were mocked for trading for this guy, Luc Dubois. He has been awesome. And people were like, he's a cancer in the clubhouse. He wears that as welcome. I don't know if it's just that he came to the right place because this is a really close-knit team, a close-knit group that Carberry has kind of assembled. But, man, the personnel moves have been, on point for this team.
Yeah, and, to get Pierre-Luc Dubois, they traded Darcy Kempner, who is a Vezina finalist. So this is a trade that worked out for both sides. But I would say, Cakes, that Dubois and any sort of cancerous stuff. Like what's happened in Washington is that and I don't like to overuse the word culture when it comes to a team, but like that you entered that locker room and you have to fit into what they have established. You're not going to come in and throw elbows and be like, no, I do it my way, because, you know, Nick Backstrom and TJ Oshie and Alex Ovechkin and John Carlson over the years have put into place a very, very businesslike but fun organization. So I think a guy like Dubois, who has all sorts of talent but has been, you know, bumped around from place to place, comes in and has no choice really but to fit in. And then, I mean, I give him credit because Carberry will tell you, like, he wants to match up against the toughest line to match up with on the other team. And he was the one taking the Suzuki line in the Canadian series. That was a really, really important matchup for defensively for Washington. And he embraces it. It's not just about how many assists he has and how much offense his line produced. And he can produce, like he made a high-end pass to Chychrun to score a goal in the deciding game against Montreal, but he'll go two ways and set a tone that way. And that's one of a litany of really, really solid moves that they made in the offseason.